seated. My name is Dr. Michael Bacigalupi. I'm the Dean of the Kentucky College of Optometry. And on behalf of the faculty and staff of KYCO, I want to welcome everyone to the class of 2024's White Coat Ceremony. We're very excited to be hosting the White Coat Ceremony this year in a more traditional format. As you probably know, for the past 2 years, we had students only, and we're unable to have their family and loved ones with us. So we're very excited to see all of you here. We appreciate everyone's compliance with the regulations that we still had to enforce this year, and we thank you for being here. So, class of 2024, welcome. To your family and friends who are here in person, or those who are watching us online, welcome to KYCO. Today is our opportunity to mark your transition as optometry students to a clinical optometry student. Today is a chance for us to recognize you for reaching this milestone, and a chance for you to thank your classmates and professors who helped you get here. How many times did your classmates let you flip their lids? How many times did your classmates let you dilate them? How many times did you poke your classmates with a tonometer? This was truly a team effort by your classmates and faculty to reach today. While white coat is a common tradition in optometry schools and other health professions across the country, the class of 2024 is special to us in two very important ways that I want everyone to know about. First, the class of 2024 entered optometry school at a very uncertain time. In August of 2020, when they arrived for orientation, the pandemic was raging and regulations were changing every day. But these students remained focused on their goals of becoming optometric physicians. They took a huge leap of faith and began their professional education in the midst of a global pandemic. That took guts. During the orientation, we discussed the growing pandemic and how we would protect each other from the spreading virus. The challenges were difficult, but through it all, the class of 2024 stuck together. History has shown us that in times of crisis, those who succeed are the ones that stick together. This class communicated with each other, supported each other, and arrived here today. Which brings me to my second point. This class, the class of 2024, are hard workers. As we navigated the changing tides of the pandemic, we were forced into many difficult decisions as to whether or not we could meet in person or online. We know it's impossible to train healthcare providers fully online. Doctors have to observe, touch, see, smell, interact with their patients to truly understand and diagnose. So it was critical that we got our students back on campus. We could not have done any of that online. But through all of the challenges that we faced, the class of 2024 persevered. They demonstrated their toughness, their strength, and their grit. They engaged in learning in all formats and stayed on track to reach today's White Coat Ceremony. We're incredibly proud of them for protecting themselves and protecting each other during the pandemic. Their efforts have allowed them to stay on track with their education and progressing towards their goals of being outstanding optometric physicians by May of 2024. So thank you. Thank you for being careful. Thank you for taking care of each other. Thank you for being a key part of the KYCO family. We're very proud to honor all of you today at the class of 2024's White Coat Ceremony. So without further delay, I'd like to invite our UPike chaplain, Rob Music, to come forward to offer our invocation.
A little height difference. Congratulations. Yeah. Let's take a moment and pray. Author of our journey and giver of life, today, as we celebrate another milestone in the lives of these care providers, we ask your blessing on them. May your Spirit clothe them with your compassion, and may your mercy enfold them with your love. May you fill them with boundless empathy and empower a new level of trust with their patients. And now as the world sees them with a new level of hard-earned authority, would you multiply their commitment to service and equip them with a richer and fuller amount of integrity? May you call forth for them the highest levels of professionalism and use them as community leaders who change lives through their time, effort, knowledge, and considerate hearts. And just as Jacob honored Joseph with a special coat, may these coats be a continual reminder of their unique calling that you've put on their lives, and may this calling fuel them for works of justice and mercy. And also, Lord, as you clothed the prodigal with a new garment of hope and grace, may this white coat be a physical sign of your faithfulness through all the difficult times and the winding journey which led them to this moment. Ultimately, as the prodigal, may they know that no one garment or career role can ever define who they truly are. Today, as the next phase begins, may you surround them with mentors and models who will help navigate all the unlearned areas and fill their lives with patience who will forever etch into their hearts a new way to see the world. I ask this blessing in Christ's name. Amen.
Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon and greetings from the University of Pikeville. My name is Dr. Lori Worth, and I am the Provost and Chief Academic Officer at the university. President Webb is unable to be here today. He is traveling to Chicago and Kansas City, but he sends his regards, and in particular to our students. We are so very proud of you and the accomplishments so far in our program. A few individuals that I would like to recognize today. First of all, we have a group of trustees who are at the University of Pikeville, their leadership and service. If you are a trustee at the university, would you please stand and be recognized this afternoon? Thank you very much for your service. Dr. Kay Webb is the First Lady of the University. Kay, would you please stand and be recognized as well? As many of you know, Dr. Bacigalupi's leadership has been key to the university, and in particular, the Kentucky College of Optometry. His leadership in creating curriculum, clinicals, the hiring of faculty and staff, accreditation, it does not go unnoticed, but there's always somebody who helps and supports you in that role. Kelly Bacigalupi, would you please rise and be recognized as well? Our faculty and staff, as many of you know as students, but our parents and families as well, these are individuals who tirelessly work to support our students, the work that they do inside the classroom, outside of the classroom. I know that I see our student affairs staff in the back as well, but if you are a faculty or staff in the Kentucky College of Optometry, would you please stand and be recognized as well? It is wonderful to have an event where we can see families here. I'll tell you that the last few years has been challenging. But today we celebrate your students. 135 years ago, nearly that many years ago, a college was created and carved in the mountains in eastern Kentucky. That school has evolved, a comprehensive undergraduate college, master's programs, a Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine, and an optometry school that we have. We thank you for your service supporting the university. Part of the work that we do here is educating students, but it's also taking care of patients and understanding what that means and what that will mean in the lives of you as students. We appreciate your support. We're so glad to see you here. Again, congratulations and thank you.
Welcome. Let me just take in this field here. I might never see you like this again. I like it. Okay, welcome to faculty, staff, administration, students, class of 2024, families, friends, people who are on the second floor who obviously are just seeing us by video or being able to participate as well, which is kind of nice too. I've been given the job to basically do some review. Questions? Okay, first thing I thought we should do at the white coat ceremony is why we're all here. So I thought it would probably be worthwhile to review the mission statement for the Kentucky College of Optometry. Some of you have seen it, and we did revise it a couple of years ago, but it's nice to go over it. The Kentucky College of Optometry's mission is to develop leaders in therapeutic optometry through innovative education and a commitment to caring for the underserved. What does that mean? Goals and objectives. We develop leaders in therapeutic optometry. We implement innovative educational programs. We provide accessible, high-quality patient care. And we promote service to the profession, to the community, and to the underserved in Appalachia and beyond. Why the white coat? What does it mean? Until the 19th century, doctors didn't wear white, they wore black. And they wore black to hide different types of stains which came from bodily fluids or whatever they were doing in the operating room. So therefore, it had a purpose at that time. Evidently, white became the thing to wear and synonymous with cleanliness, purity, hygiene, and safety. So that meant that the hospital switched to using white sheets, white pillowcases. That means nurses took on white outfits, white hats. It means the doctors took on their little pretty outfits. So they put in white scrubs, white outfits, sometimes white caps. The first white coat ceremony was at Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons, and that was in 1993. The white coat has come to symbolize the purity of purpose being affirmed in the process of becoming a healthcare professional, so it's symbolic. Optometric students are given a white coat as a visual reminder of their professional oath and commitment to providing high-quality healthcare. The white coat is an honor, a privilege, an earned rite of passage that represents the transitioning of a professional student to healthcare practice and patient care. Traditionally, the white coat ceremony, before we confer the white coat, we usually have somebody as a guest speaker who recites the professional oath. In this case, it will be our Assistant Dean of Clinical Affairs, but there's also an address by an eminent role model in the field. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Christine Cook, and I'll give you some of her background. She's a graduate of the Southern College of Optometry in Memphis, Tennessee. She's a fellow of the American Academy of Optometry. She's a diplomate of the American Board of Optometry. She's a member of the American Optometric Association. She's a past president of the Virginia Optometric Association and the Tidewater Optometric Society. She was the Virginia Optometrist of the Year in 2016. And she's also an adjunct faculty member at Pennsylvania College of Optometry, Salis, and Southern College of Optometry in Memphis. She's in practice at the Eye Specialist, which is an MD-OD practice in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And she's currently president of KYCO International. Now, this was something I did. We went to KYCO just a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, I guess, for that matter. And I got to go to the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And I put this on because I was curious. Not only do they throw beads and stuff like that, which you'd expect at a parade, but they're throwing cabbages, potatoes, both sweet potatoes and regular whole white potatoes, carrots, zucchinis. I mean, they threw a bar at me, which was a bar of Irish Spring soap. I try not to take offense to that, but anyway, it was amazing this type of stuff that was thrown at us. So, but this is where she was inaugurated as the current president. She can tell you more about it. But the bottom line is the Southeastern Educational Congress of Optometry, KYCO. What is it? It's the largest optometric education provider in optometry. Lectures, workshops, and a huge marketplace exhibit hall. It has 13 member states, of which Kentucky is one of them. It has associate members that are optometrists, ophthalmologists, opticians, technicians, para-optometrics, residents, students, the Armed Force Optometric Society, many international organizations, as well as allied healthcare professionals and industry professionals. So without further ado, I'll introduce Dr. Christine Cook.
Thank you. Also a height difference. They offered a soapbox or apple box, I think they called it at KYCO, to stand on. So otherwise, I looked like this at the podium. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to join you today for your white coat ceremony. Please allow me to congratulate you on behalf of KYCO International for reaching this important milestone on your journey to becoming a practicing optometrist and your commitment to caring for your fellow man. This is an incredibly exciting time in your career. You are about to embark upon the next and perhaps most critical phase of your education, the transition from classroom and laboratory student to student clinician. This is the first step of the rest of your professional lives, and rest assured, it's a pretty big step. The practice of optometry has evolved in profound ways since the first Doctor of Optometry degree was awarded in 1923. What was once a drugless profession is no longer, and curricula at colleges of optometry are reflective of that fact. At the Kentucky College of Optometry, yours is a comprehensive education and includes training on state-of-the-art technologies and treatment modalities. Each successive generation of optometric student enjoys an education that is more advanced than that of its predecessor. Time does not stand still, and neither do advancements in optometry. We must all be lifelong learners, always seeking to expand our knowledge and skill sets so that we may best serve the needs of our patients. In 1998, my newly minted degree represented years of intensive study and training that had yielded a robust clinical skill set at the leading edge of optometric practice. This was the first year in which optometrists in all 50 states and the District of Columbia had the authority to employ at least topical therapeutic agents. I would be remiss if I did not point out, however, that my education and training extended well beyond the use of topical TPAs. Imagine my disappointment when I realized I would not be permitted to practice to the full scope of my training in my home state. Unfortunately, this is a circumstance that continues to persist today for many optometrists. Last year, New York became the final state to attain the privilege of prescribing oral medication, a hard-fought achievement for the profession that began 45 years ago, when in 1977, North Carolina became the first state to grant oral prescriptive authority for optometry. Virginia optometrists were allowed to prescribe a very limited formulary when I began practicing, but one of my employers at the time, an ophthalmologist, believed in my abilities, believe it or not, and would sign prescriptions for me, allowing me to utilize my training more fully. I suppose I should have been grateful, and I was, but it offended my sensibilities to have to be reliant on another practitioner in order to treat patients in a manner well within my scope of training. I can only imagine how my New York contemporaries feel, having only received the right to utilize orals just last year. It is also worth noting that optometry began treating glaucoma as early as 1976, but only in West Virginia. North Carolina joined them soon after, but it wasn't until 2003 that most states had granted optometrists the privilege to treat glaucoma in one form or another. The final state, Massachusetts, didn't grant optometrists this privilege until just last year, a 46-year gap in parity. In the late 1980s, Oklahoma optometrists were the first to implement the use of lasers in the treatment of their patients. They had already been successfully performing procedures for nearly 10 years when ophthalmology-initiated litigation caused them to lose that right in 1997. A strong grassroots effort was quickly organized to educate Oklahoma legislators on the clear need for optometry to have laser privileges so that accessible eye care would be available to all Oklahomans. This effort and testimony given by former AOA president and Oklahoma resident Dr. David Cockrell ultimately led to the reinstatement of those privileges in 1998. Contemporaneously, Oklahoma College of Optometry provided a certification course for my class at the Southern College of Optometry. And finally, after nearly 25 years of waiting, I have the opportunity to dust off my certificate, which is 25 years old, in my home state of Virginia, because they recently became the 9th state with statutes allowing utilization of lasers. I am kidding, though. I did take an updated laser course. My point in regaling you with this brief lesson in optometric history is that I practice optometry as I do today because I stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before me. Our profession is a legislated one. Our evolution and success, indeed our ability to serve the public interest, depends upon advocacy. Advocacy for our patients and advocacy for our profession. Every advance in our scope of practice can be credited to organized optometry. And as the example of lasers in Oklahoma illustrates, there is no guarantee that optometric scope of practice will only expand. In each state, scope of practice setbacks are only one legislative session away. With the exception of Alaska. Alaska has been successful in petitioning for regulatory board autonomy or as-taught legislation. In the future, I hope to see our profession achieve that in all the states. We should not have to petition 50 legislatures with every advance in optometric education or technology. Perhaps it won't take another 25 years to achieve this. How many of you are members of AOSA? Great, that's great. How many of you have been able to participate in their virtual Congressional Advocacy Conference, AOA on Capitol Hill last year? Did you guys get a chance to do that? Any of you going this year in May? Well, if you ever get a chance to go, I've attended several, and they're very informative and a great experience. I have a scheduling conflict this year, so I won't be able to attend. So you do too? If you have not done so already, join the associations of the states in which you are interested in practicing. When you graduate, stay involved. The addition of advanced procedures to our collective statutes is an ongoing effort. One of the best ways to stay abreast of optometry's advancements is to attend educational conferences. My favorite, KYCO International, we're celebrating our 100th year next year. It's a wonderful place to network with like-minded colleagues, catch up with schoolmates. You might be sick of each other right now, but one day you will treasure the opportunity to get together, to reminisce, commiserate, and share ideas. KYCO is the premier forum for education, technology, and advocacy to work synergistically for the advancement of professional optometry. How many of you have ever been to KYCO? Anybody? Excellent. All right, for those of you who have not yet had the opportunity, I'd like to share a video with you.
We are learning so much. It is just first class.
It feels like you're connecting with family.
It was so incredibly exciting when those doors opened and that first rush of attendees came through.
We can only do so much over Zoom and kind of third-hand conversations. It's great to meet with the customers one-on-one. It's a different environment than the office where people got to get to patients and have a better quality conversation and get into things that a day-to-day office visit just don't always accommodate. So we think the investment's been worthwhile.
And so we learn as much from the offices and the optometrists about what they're looking for with the products that we bring. So that in-person connection and the ability to have those conversations and have a two-way learning dialogue is very important to us here at Alcon. We formed this deep partnership, and to reignite that in person has been phenomenal.
I always get my CE at KYCO. I think that it's one of the few places I can gather with colleagues and enjoy a great evening of both fun, festive activities, and a great, great education.
And you cannot beat the education. I mean, the amount of education, it's almost education overload that you learn so much in the new technology. I have never seen a place to where you can get the education and the technology all in one area.
We actually weren't here last year, but I guess somebody talked about us in one of the lectures, and we just started seeing a bunch of orders pouring in from the Southeast region. Having that peer-to-peer recommendation has been huge for us. So when somebody's doing that in an actual academic lecture that holds so much validity, we are really excited to be here in future years. It's been one of the best conferences we've been to as far as just engagement and the business we've been able to do, so we will definitely be back.
Because it's a network of people who live and work in this community, we get to trade ideas. We have a lot of the same demographics in our patient practice, and also meeting great vendors who do business in this area that can help the office and my patients as well.
This was my first KYCO where I actually brought my staff. They're all doing their courses, and we also got a chance to kind of hang out and spend time with each other and enjoy KYCO and enjoy some of New Orleans. Throughout the year, private practice, it's hard to train the staff to really hone in on the specific topics. And with KYCO, it gave us an opportunity to really have them attend each of those topics that they wanted to learn a little bit more on.
Thanks to these relationships that we have forged and have strengthened by way of our time here at KYCO 22, we feel very confident that we're going to have a really exciting year ahead of us at Acrinos. Can't wait to return to KYCO 23 in Atlanta.
I hope you'll join us at KYCO at your earliest opportunity. You won't be disappointed. It's a lot of fun. Well, I've already dated myself, so you know that it was more than 25 years ago that I was sitting where you are now. Having spent the previous 2 years undergoing the bulk of our didactic training and practicing our clinical skills on one another, I vividly recall how eager my classmates and I were to get into the clinic to begin interacting with real patients. As a souvenir of those days, I have a case of anisocoria that I directly attribute to spending nearly the entirety of my second year with one eye dilated. But I digress. As I imagine might be the case for you, our excitement was tempered with a bit of trepidation. Practicing clinical skills with your classmates was one thing. Working with actual patients is quite another. It was much less stressful and self-doubt inducing to practice on a classmate who was also obviously learning than it is to work with live patients. This was the real deal, a patient who was looking to us for answers. There seemed to be an endless checklist of must-dos and must-don'ts. I remember thinking, comport yourself in a professional manner, listen to the patient's complaints, diagnose any issues, and formulate and present the appropriate treatment options. This all had to be done while maintaining an outwardly cool, calm, and collected appearance. While all might look to be under control from the outside, I wasn't always fully confident in the inside. In addition to being a technically competent clinician, you also have to remember that you are working with an individual, a person who may well come from a background and with experiences entirely different from your own. You have to treat every patient with the concern and dignity that they deserve, without bias and with cultural sensitivity. All of this may seem quite daunting, but I'll let you in on a secret. It is okay to feel a little anxiety and doubt. I saw a sign outside that says it's okay not to be okay. And that's true, to a point. I would be more concerned if you did not feel that way at some point. Your clinical prowess will improve dramatically as you gain more experience and put what you have learned into practical application. As your clinical skills develop, you will receive many pearls of wisdom from a wide variety of sources, but I thought I would share some with you today to get you started. As practitioners, we all have a box of pearls that we have collected during our careers. Some of the pearls in our box are bigger and prettier, and frankly, some are more useful than others. But to get you started off with a box of pearls I think you can use right away, I recently canvassed some of my fellow KYCO Executive Committee members to learn what clinical pearls they have to offer you. You've probably already heard some of these, but they're certainly worth repeating. Dr. David Rouse, KYCO Secretary, says, patients are allowed to have more than one thing wrong with them. And I must agree, that's a great piece of advice. I still have to remind myself of this. It is too easy to home in on just one condition and forget to address other comorbidities. Don't forget to look at the overall clinical picture. KYCO Vice President, Dr. Horace Deal, also happened to be my big brother at SCO. He was a year ahead of me. So what an interesting turn of events that we've ended up on this board together some 30 years later. He offers some time-honored advice. When you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. You guys have heard that one, right? Yeah. Meaning that you should rule out the most likely issues first. But zebras do exist. And the next pearl is a favorite of KYCO President-elect Dr. Michelle Cooper. It ain't rare if it's in your chair. Say it with me. You guys all know that one too, right? Yeah. Of course, it may be uncommon, if not rare in the classic sense. At minimum, it may be out of the realm of your experience or outside of your comfort zone. And on occasion, it's going to scare the bejeebers out of you. And these situations call for the best two pieces of advice that I received. And these are the pearls that I want to pass along to you. Are you ready? Here we go. Never say, oops, or oh my God, in front of a patient. Not good. It's funny because it's true. And second, and probably more important, you cannot expect to know everything. Let me say that again. You cannot expect to know everything. But as you enter the clinic, you at least know what normal looks like. Just don't record it as such. WNL means we never looked. They've taught you that too, right? Okay. If something appears abnormal, you have enough training to know where to begin to research your differential diagnoses. And this is useful advice after graduation as well. When you encounter a case that stumps or intimidates you, and you will encounter these cases, try not to panic. It is absolutely okay to excuse yourself to do a little research or phone a friend. I consider myself a proficient specialty lens fitter. I am comfortable treating ocular disease and providing primary care, but I freeze like a deer in the headlights when I'm confronted with binocular or low vision issues. I refer those to my favorite binocular or low vision guru down the street. But what if you don't have a guru down the street? What then? There is no shame in admitting that you have limited experience with a particular condition, but the patient does need to feel that you have his best interest at heart. And let him know that you're happy to do some research and consult with colleagues to formulate a treatment plan and follow up with them later. In the majority of cases, you do not have to resolve everything in one visit. Just remember, take a beat. You can do that. As I look out across this assembly so full of talent and potential, I have to make a confession. I envy you. In some moments, it seems like just yesterday that I was sitting where you are today. But the truth is, it was half a lifetime ago for me. You have your whole lives ahead of you, or at least the entirety of your professional life as an optometrist. So many possibilities await you. You get to explore the many facets of eye care as you move into the clinic and to discover which areas pique your interest. Where will your passion lie? Will you become an academic teaching the next generation of students? Will you choose to concentrate on specific areas of eye care, such as neurooptometry, pediatrics, or primary care? Will you choose to practice in a hospital setting, a small clinic, or in the armed services? It all lies ahead of you, and it will all come faster than you think. But for the present, as you enter the clinic, remember that you are ready. Your faculty and staff here at Kentucky College of Optometry have prepared you well. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts with you, and I wish you the greatest success in your future endeavors. Here is my information, should I ever be able to be service to you. Thank you.
Please stand up. We'll now go through the white coat ceremony. Are we ready? Winston Acres. Joshua Arnett. Kelly Ballard. Carrie Graham Burris. Haley Champion Caudle. Crystal Chan. Jalen Cook. Caitlin Creekmore. Zachary Day. Charles Dotson III. Mark Eves. Joshua Elam. Sarah Eldridge. Murray Faulkner. Claire Forsyth. Tatiana Georges. Joshua Griffith. Adriana Guardiola. Courtney Hansel. Lauren Heitkamp. Haley Horner. Cheryl Jenkins. Trevor Johnson. Tony Justice. Julia Landavazo. Jacob Locke. Casey Manning. Madeline Maurer. Hannah Massengale. Dalton McGaw. Savannah Meyer. Celestine Miller. Sarah Milliken. Brittany Morris. Carolyn Posse. Morgan Peters. Allison Petty. Jacob Plumley. Luke Roten, Seth Ryan, Danielle Rose, Joshua Russell, April Sayavong, Kendall Schuckman, Brandon Smith, Elizabeth Smith, Hunter Smith, Madison Smith, Sarah Smith, Stephen Truong, Holly Turner, Nicholas Fergus, Michaela Warden, Emily Workman, and Jacob Yates.
Always an entertaining part of the ceremony, right? You all should be up here. It's hysterical. You know, the look on their face when they get down here and start to come up the stairs is like, I'm going to fall up the stairs. I know I'm going to fall up the stairs. So I love it. I love it. Well, I'm Dr. Cliff Caudle. I'm the Assistant Dean for Clinical Affairs, and I would like to welcome the class of 2024 to a very special fraternity, and that is the members of the optometric community providing eye health and vision care to our patients. Your transition from mainly academic to a clinical care setting is celebrated with this ceremony, and I think you've heard that from a lot of our speakers today. That's what we're doing here today. We're celebrating this transition from basically classroom work to clinical work. So allow me to thank our staff, faculty, our partner clinical sites, and our administration as Clinical Affairs guides you through the next phase of your training. Providing health care to our fellow humans is a position that commands respect, but also requires trust, and this privilege and responsibility are not to be taken lightly. As a result, our tradition is to ask you to recite the Optometric Professional Conduct Pledge as a reminder of the role that you are accepting. If you would, please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. With full deliberation, I freely and solemnly pledge that I will ensure that all persons have access to eye, vision, and general health care in an environment of faith, social justice, and human dignity. I will provide care that is consistent with established clinical practice guidelines based on the latest scientific knowledge and procedures. I will remain current with the prevailing scope of practice and standards of care to benefit my patients. I will respect the rights of my patients to be active participants in decisions affecting their health care. I will inform patients or their legal guardian about the patient's health care and health care options. I will hold in confidence all protected health and other personal information. I will conduct myself with good character in all my actions to build trust and respect with patients, the public, and colleagues. Very nice. You can stay standing. To all those present today who have contributed to the lives of these young professionals, I present to you the Kentucky College of Optometry class of 2024 in their new roles as student clinical optometrist. That concludes our program for today. I'll ask the students to recess and the audience to remain for just a few minutes while the class pictures are being taken. Feel free to stand up and move around, but if you would kindly remain for a few minutes while we get their photos done. Thank you.